switch it up. I'm not sure what happened. I think it might have been something with the audio. It got cut off from my phone and then it just stopped the live. So I'm hoping this works. If not, I might just have to switch this off to another day just in case you guys are tuned in. But anyhow, welcome back. There's a new link on Instagram to click on if you guys want to tune in. So again, I'm excited about talking about this topic today, and welcome to the Urban Creative Channel. My name is Eric Briones. I have a video production agency here in New York City, and this episode that we're talking about today is AI didn't replace my creative agency; it just made me faster. So I wanted to talk about a few topics today quickly as much as I can go over it because it's just so much, so much that, came through and went through with, AI and everything that's been new. It just seems to just kind of like keep on updating and updating. And it's just kind of crazy how much AI is just entrenched into our lives and we don't even realize it, but it's the truth. But yeah, let's talk about it here. The first topic I kind of want to go over really because I know with AI, it's the topic that everyone is saying. That's always a big discussion about it. Whether you're a person that is very anti AI or pro AI, or you're just like someone that's kind of in the middle trying to sort itself out, and you're just not sure where you land on the whole thing. I'm kind of like in the middle, like there's definitely some things that I think are not good about AI, and topics that and things that it is kind of taking over that there should be a little bit more oversight and regulation on. But at the end of the day, the reason why I'm just kind of bringing this all up, from a creative standpoint, and me being a video editor and a videographer here in the city, and trying to run my own creative agency and still stay relevant and still stay successful. It's like you really can't ignore the fact that AI is here. AI is here to stay, and there's really no like turning back the hands of time and where AI wasn't here at all. I think it's to the point now where really you just have to find a way to figure out what you are comfortable with doing with AI, whether you're at your job or whether you're running your own business, to figure out how it can help you and actually even make you more creative, to be honest with you. That actually happens more often than not, that I'm noticing that I'm using it more and more. It actually opens up my mind to do different things and everything like that. So, with that in mind, it's just kind of like I wanted to like have that as a blanket statement because the big thing is that they say there's like this quote that's been kind of going around. It's like the people who get replaced by AI aren't the ones that is using it. It's the people that refuse to use it. And I know it's a culture thing. I know like people are, get really worked up about AI and feel like it's just not something that society should be using. But I do think there's a lot of use cases on using it in an ethical way. And I hope like during this whole episode that you kind of see the ways that I'm using it and see how you can apply it to your work schedule, your workflows, or you running a business, to see how it's going to save you time. And that time you can be able to be even more productive and do other projects and other things that you just want to do. Because really, at the end of the day, like the job or like the YouTube title says, it has been saving me a lot of time since I've been working with it. So yeah, that's just something that I want to talk about. I mean, I really do think, guys, that it's like trying to convince people uh, not to shop at Walmart, not to buy things on Amazon Prime. It's just not going to happen. Like once you get the convenience and everything on it, it's like you're just going to have to use it every day. And a lot of times people don't even realize they're using it now. It's so ingrained in Google and even in your workflows. And I'll talk a little bit about that, how I've been using it, where it's just like a no brainer to keep using it. So another way to look at it is, I think, if you look at it in a sense that AI isn't a threat, it's more of like a utility. You know what I mean? Like if you look at it as like electricity or something like that, it's like when there wasn't no electricity at all, like, back in the day, like everyone was using candles and, you know what I'm saying, just to light up like, a place or something like that, and using heat for, using a bonfire or whatever. But once electricity came into play, it's just like utilizes that way. And then everybody's life changes. So it's kind of like if you look at AI as a utility, you kind of feel a little bit better about it. And you just got to think of how you're using it as a utility for your business or your personal life. So there's that blanket statement there. But yeah, let's go into the second topic really. And, this is me using AI inside of my design and editing software. So I'll kind of start off just from the beginning of like where I'm actually using it more. It's actually within it's within my programs that I use for editing. So I use mainly Adobe Premiere Pro and After Effects. Now, Adobe Creative Suite has like Photoshop and Illustrator as well, which I dabble in there every once in a while for like graphic design stuff and what have you. But my bread and butter is video editing because I use it as an upsell when I shoot for videography. I suggest that I can do the video editing. And the thing with video editing, which my friends know that dabble into it, it's very time consuming, and it's not time consuming on the sense of like the creative standpoint, what you're thinking about as far as laying out a storyline and laying out the scenes that you want to put together. It's really like the mundane file organization, clipping up, like manual task. I guess that's what I'm saying. Because you really are starting with a bunch of footage, like maybe over 100 files of video, and you're trying to condense that, which that might be like an hour or maybe even longer. If you're shooting an event or something, and you're trying to narrow that down into like a 2 or 3 minute video where you got to clip out the best stuff. So finally, Adobe, and I don't know why it took so long, but Adobe actually now has these beta versions of their Creative Cloud programs. So Premiere Pro has a beta version, and After Effects has a beta version. So with that in mind, now they actually have a chat bot inside of Premiere Pro and After Effects, and you can just use it where you're basically typing in a prompt and it starts doing things for you. I guess that's the best way I can describe it at the moment. Um, I know we're on the live right now, and I would love to do like kind of like a live where I'm actually showing this stuff on screen, but given the fact that I just have this on my phone and I'm just trying to do this quickly, you'll have to stay tuned on my social media where I'll actually edit and have like a share screen where you can actually see the live screen stuff. So um, just want to throw that out here. Use your guys' imagination when I try to describe some of this stuff. But yeah, so Premiere, let's go back to Premiere Pro. Let me take a drink of water real quick. It's kind of, anyhow, so let's go back to Premiere Pro. So Premiere Pro Beta, let me give you some specific examples. So before, you would have footage where they have, like, depending on what your camera is, it has just a bunch of numbers and it's sort of organized just from in a numerical order, your file name. So one of the things that I do now, an easy way, is that I put in the I drop in the footage into my timeline of my Premiere Pro, like working, file that I set up. And I drop in all the video files, right? And it's all just basically number garbage. You know what I'm saying? I might not really know what file is exact to what. So what I can do now is I tap into the prompt that's like kind of on the top right corner, and you can be able to get the chat bot in there, and then you start typing in what you want them to do with the file footage. So what I normally type into the prompt is I say something like, "Hey, I would like you to organize all these files by renaming the files on what you see." So now they actually are able to review the files and just scan through it and get an idea of like what that B-roll shot was. You know what I'm saying? So and then I even take it a step further and I say, organize these files where you put it in different folders. So put all the B roll footage in a folder, put like the interviews that I did, talking head pieces or something like that in a different folder. And then, whatever ever miscellaneous stuff that kind of comes up. And they usually do suggest certain things too to separate it out. But it's pretty crazy because yeah, within a matter of you know 5 minutes or so, it depends on how big your project is with how many files you have in there. But it literally will organize everything for you. So that just saves so much time from a video editor standpoint. That way you're not like plopping all the footage just like one by one or just a big old batch into the timeline, and you're trying to review each of the footage and you're trying to like sort it out. Like back in the day, I used to like color code the footage where it was like B-rolls here, and I would, kind of divide it out like this is all the signage scenes, like footage of the signs and logos and stuff that's not human stuff. And then I would have another like color code for people talking and interacting, like the event space itself. So even again, you can keep taking it a step further and tell them like, okay, I see this b-roll here, but give me once, you can type in there, say, give me 1 second scenes of all the b-roll footage just for the signage, and put that in a separate kind of like sequence. So it will do that now, and it's crazy to see it. Like once you see it, like kind of, and it will ask you questions if it trips up on anything, which is great, and it confirms everything and what have you. So like it will just do it in real time, and you'll see it, and it takes a matter of a few minutes, and next thing you know, you have at least a baseline rough cut, they call it, like a baseline cut in video editing. Like you can pretty much get there with the AI chatbots in Premiere Pro. So it's really cool. I haven't gotten too far into the, basically the After Effects side of it, but I know like you can start doing like transitions and stuff. So check it out in After Effects. You guys drop a comment if you actually have used the AI chatbot in After Effects. I haven't really messed with it yet, but it's on my list of things to do. So that's just like the design software that I use like every day, usually with video editing projects. But another thing is too, now, obviously they're doing these video creation, these generators that you can create scenes now that, back in the day I said there was AI slot, but it is getting better and better. But the way I'm using it, at least from an ethical standpoint, is that, I'm not trying to copy something that like is reenacting somebody that would be an actor in there. I'm actually using it in a scene that um, let me say an example. So, like, one of my clients is a like dental product. Like, they premiere different dental products and stuff like that, and I edit videos for him. But the problem is, like, certain clients that he has, they're like these old mundane, old school like dental tools, like websites from across the world, actually. But they have not good websites. The websites are shitty, and they just got images and stuff like that of, they don't have any video assets. I guess that's what I'm saying. So a lot of times he just gives me a voiceover script along with an AI voiceover, which he actually provides me. And then he's like, hey, just put together what you can do. We used to use, and we still do, we use a lot of stock footage and everything like that. But what I've been finding works out really great is that, so I have a subscription model, and there's different subscription models. There's Artlist, there's Envato Elements. I actually have both subscriptions, but I actually use Envato Elements a little bit more. I don't know, it just seems like they have a broader view of like stock photos and stock videos and stuff like that. So an example that I use with this one is, there's usually not a lot of good stock videos of dentists in dentist offices and stuff. Usually I end up running into the same person, really, a lot of time, or the same group of people that keep shooting the same scene. So sometimes it's even better for me to just use a stock photo and drop it into Envato, where Envato now has these AI tools where you can use just the photo, and you type in a prompt that you mention to them, hey, I just want like a 5 second scene, B roll scene of this photo. and just do some slight movement with it, you know? So it won't usually be like a photo of even, you know, people in it. It's a lot of times actually with AI, the better way to do it is like have it like, you know, face down and it's kind of like just showing here like some movement where it might be like a dental instrument of a dentist like grabbing, you know, a dental tool from, you know, his pan or whatever like that. So the photos still, right? And I'll show this example obviously when I'm editing these up on Reels, but you can be able to grab, you know, like he'll show the movement of it and and it usually is very natural and it's great. So, um yeah, I love it, man. I mean, I think it saves a lot of time from a and it actually opens up my mind from a creative standpoint of like what I can do with certain B-roll scenes and stuff like that. I mean, I think if you guys probably noticed in, you know, other, you know, YouTubers and everyone else talking about like you can literally put like a product photo, like I'll say an example, like say you got a headphones company, but you only have photos of it, but you want to create a whole creative campaign around it. You could just take one picture and be able to start, and you know, you might even, show references of different styles of like, you know, advertising campaigns that you like, and they can put it into either photos and video as well, where, you know, it might have the headphones like rotating or just some type of commercial branding stuff like that. So myself, I haven't pushed too much of that type of side of it with AI, but it's definitely there. Um, and yeah, it's just something to look into, guys, that will save you a lot of time if like and you know, back in the day, I was always searching for like the perfect stock footage. I guess that's what I'm saying. I would try to use the client's images and just try to like make some movement with the image itself, where it's just like zooming in or zooming out, like and try to show some movement there. And it's usually kind of stale and boring. But again, you can literally take their website photos and say that you want a 4 to 5 second scene and just have subtle movements. You don't want something to go too crazy where it gets out of control. So like I think subtle movements is good. Subtle movements is good and like 4 to 5 second scenes. That's just really what you need for B-roll. So yeah, check into Envato Elements if you guys haven't. I'll try to put a link down at the bottom so you guys see that. And yeah, I mean, like I said, you know, there's a big shift from going from stock footage and photo libraries to literally generating the footage and images as part of, you know what I mean, the workflow. So like that's kind of what you would want to do. So yeah, let's go into the next thing here. Now, what I've been using a lot lately, and I recently got into this like a lot, is that so I've been actually making a transition from ChatGPT, which I still use ChatGPT a little bit, but I'm actually switching that from Claude. And a lot of people have been talking about that, right? Like, oh, Claude's better, it writes better, it sounds more natural and human and everything like that. But the biggest reason why I have myself is ChatGPT doesn't necessarily have a like an AI agent, I guess you can say, which an AI agent is like basically a virtual assistant. So Claude does. Claude has Claude Cowork. That's what it's called. I know this is going to sound confusing, but so Claude has a chat, which the chat is like Chat GPT. You can go in there, you can put in a prompt and kind of talk to it and see what, you know, data or information you want to get, some research or whatever, right? But Claude Cowork is totally different. It's a separate tab that you have to actually get a subscription. You have to get Claude like the at least the basic subscription, which that's what I'm on. I'm on the one that's like $20 a month. They have another one that's like $100 a month, and you know, I guess if you're like a multi, you know, level creative agency and you got like a lot of clients, then you probably need to upgrade. But at least for myself, I'm just starting off slow. So I'm using the one that's a $20 a month subscription. And yeah, so that will be able to give you access to Claude Cowork. But the thing is Claude Cowork does not exist on the browser, on your browser. You're going to actually have to download the Claude desktop app on your laptop. And that's where you log in and you can be able to get Claude Cowork along with the chat, but also Claude Code, which I haven't got too much into, but I'll talk about it in a little bit. So Claude Cowork, again, it's like a virtual assistant. What happens is that you could be able to get Claude, a Google Chrome extension on the browser itself so that it actually kind of like syncs in with your desktop app. Reason why I bring that up, that's where it can start doing like manual tasks that you normally would do on your own. It does it for you. So an example of what I'm doing now is I'm actually having Claude Cowork go onto my laptop, my browser daily and look up freelance videography jobs in the New York and tri-state area. Search the web. I did have them search the web, like kind of just scan it daily every morning. But then I also have them go into my Upwork profile, my platform, like my profile on Upwork, and save jobs. Not apply for jobs because I haven't got too far there. I don't want to screw anything up yet, but I know that's a capability that could do. But at the moment, I am not trying to go that far. I just want them to save me time so I don't have to every single day be looking for the jobs myself. So what ends up happening is that Claude does it every morning and gives me a notification up, it's done in like 5 minutes. And basically, it will give me a list for the web part, like a whole, like very detailed list, like and hyperlinks to click on each job that I can take a look at online and apply to if I'm interested. And then on the Upwork side, it saves them for me that puts it into a save folder for any of the jobs that like that he Claude thinks I'm interested in. I don't know if it's a he or she, guys, you know what I mean? But actually I'll get back to that in a second too. Um, so yeah, it's a great way to save time. It took a little while for me to tweak it and understand like how to make sure it's doing the right thing because like in the beginning, it was looking for full-time jobs and I had to be specific like, hey, I don't want full-time jobs because I run my full-time agency. You know what I mean? I need like freelance gig type stuff. Like, and then another example is like it would sometimes on Upwork, it would save past jobs that already like passed or even ones that I already applied to. So I had to be kind of specific. So just keep that in mind too with this AI stuff. It's not gonna immediately like just boom give you the right answer right at the right time because you have to start to kind of just get used to it, get used to communicating with it and kind of talking it through like with the prompts when you're typing it out. But speaking of which I just actually did this as an unlock today, is that there's a voice feature on Claude and ChatGPT actually where you can just talk to Claude. You can actually talk to it instead of typing everything out. You can just sit there in the morning and talk about the tasks that you want it to run. It will talk back to you like a human being. Like imagine like Siri or Alexa. It's basically like that. You have that Claude's a guy, at least the one that I have right now. It's like this British like accent guy. He's talking and stuff. But the funny thing was, is I was talking with my brother because me and my brothers have like kind of they have their own business that I'm trying to help them out with, and vice versa. So I'm getting a little more in the weeds with that stuff, and I'll talk about that in a little bit on what their business is and how I was able to help them with Claude Cowork. But I just wanted to say a specific thing was my brother David got me on speakerphone with his chat GPT agent, or voice where she tuned in on our meeting and all three of us had a conversation over the phone literally, and we talked about some objectives that we wanted to do for David, my brother's company. So that was pretty interesting. So even David was said, hey, why don't we get Claude and chat GPT talking to each other so it'd be two AI people, not real people, but then me and my brother talking about, strategies going forward. So that could happen. So yeah, I don't know. Again, you just got to be a little creative on what you want to do. It opens your mind up to like how you can save time, but also be creative with what you're doing. And like even today, I had a conversation with Claude and trying to hone in on what's the best way that I can pitch to future clients on like what I'm doing and basically not to get all the way into weeds of it, but we talked about stuff that I've already done on, on Claude, like the history and stuff. And I showed him my website, I showed him my social media and this YouTube channel. And he talked a lot about, so Claude actually suggested to me start using your documentary work as an angle to corporate clients on how you can pitch that to better. So we're going to be in the works of doing like kind of a highlight reel from some of the documentaries that I've done so far, and then also have like a 1 or 2 pager like PDF and showing like how storytelling and documentary style videos are really like trending. They're a really big thing, and it's a better way to tell a story than just like an event or just like a talking head like kind of interview. So something that's a little bit more dynamic and more human. Ironically, you know what I mean? It's human. So yeah, it's crazy that he brought that up. So anyhow, that is another way to use it. And then one of the other things that's really cool too with Claude, and I want to say ChatGPT or Google Gemini does this as well. But again, I'm kind of in Claude. I'm going in. So Claude has a separate thing other than the code, but it also has Claude Design. Now, what I've been able to do recently was I'm able to point to a website, point to like some videos that I have or a transcript, and basically build like a deck, like a PowerPoint presentation or a PDF, whatever you're asking for, they'll kind of pump it out, but it will basically automatically design like a deck for you. So and it's just amazing. And I'm able to do that because I'm using it for my current documentary Blue Tarps that I'm trying to, like, right now we're in the process of, basically it's going to probably premiere in the fall or possibly winter, like live, out to the public. But right now currently I am submitting to film festivals. So while I'm doing that, I'm trying to get more interest into the Blue Tarps documentary itself, because it's about an artist and a painter and his family, and there's kind of like a two-pronged thing where the film itself can get on streaming platforms at some point. We want to get it in the film festivals first, so that's what we're doing now, which uh, you need a budget for. You know what I'm saying? So and then also on top of that, since it does involve painters, we're going to have an art show along with the premiere. So we're going to kind of find a way to kind of have that synergized a little bit. So I bring that up because I thought it was a good idea to try to get a pitch deck for investors or possibly executive producers who want to be involved in the project, and give their insight and be able to edit it down from a director's cut to a producer's like cut, because right now it's kind of like a longer form documentary, and we plan on making it more of like a short documentary and maybe even a very short documentary, a couple of different versions, I guess that's what I'm saying. So without all that in mind, I just asked Claude, how do I go about it strategy wise, like what do you think? And then I took all that information and research that they gave me, and I said, hey, put all this research that we've done about film festivals, what we've done about how this can be in streaming platforms, how we can tie it together with the art show, and let's put this into some type of visual, like, asset, basically. And it said, okay, let's pump it into Claude Design. And it takes all the branding, it takes the fonts, it takes the colors, and it pumps out a deck with images and everything like that, even hyperlinks, graphs, infographics that you can use, like bar charts and everything like that. So it's pretty incredible, to be honest with you. Like, it actually ended up pumping out like a deck in like 5 minutes or less. And, for me, again, this saves me a lot of time, because obviously myself, I would have ended up doing that on my own. I would have been able to do that in InDesign, Adobe InDesign, or going on PowerPoint or Google Slides and doing it myself. But again, for me, it's just about, I'm trying to save time so I can use that extra time to be more creative and work on more projects to, go forward. So that's the mindset that I'm trying to say, is that you would use it for. So that's another way that I've been using it. So Claude Design's a big thing. And again, you have to get on the subscription to kind of like take advantage of some of these other things. And the crazy part about it is that I will bring up Claude Code, which I haven't really messed around with, but any of these things that you put into like a deck or something like that, it's very easy for them to actually convert that into a web page. So you can just upload that deck and just tell Cloud Code, "Hey, generate this into a clickable like landing page instead," and it's a hyperlink and everything, and they just send it over, you know? So I haven't messed around with that yet, but I know that like people are literally like building dashboards and everything that are these clickable things that are online. You can just send a link to a client instead of a PDF that they got to open up. So just something else to think about. And yeah, I mean, I haven't messed around with it totally yet, but I'm definitely gonna probably get into that in a second. And then yeah, just a final thing with Claude Cowork. A big project that I did with my brother's business is that basically my brother's business is a mattress installation and TV installation company, and they do it mostly for hotels, but they've been starting to do it with data centers, ironically, and army bases. So we had this huge quote that we were supposed to come up with, which was like a massive project because it was an army base down in Texas, but it was on the border of Texas and New Mexico. Reason why it was that way is because think of it as like a campus style, like, you know, facility, right? Like there's different addresses, there's different like buildings where, the army people are, uh, they're staying at. So we had basically just a scope of work, which was what they provided us. And it was really just like not even an Excel sheet. It was just a scanned in image of all the addresses of the buildings at that army base that housed over like 18,000 people, basically. So it's multiple, just think about it this way, it's multiple addresses, multiple distances. So like maybe one building had like 20 mattresses, and then the next building had this and this and this. So the way that we had to do it and had to approach it was that I had to get into Claude and really dig in and say, hey, I need you to look at the distances because we need to know, distance level when it comes to fuel costs, adding in like ordering U-Hauls for the mattresses, the old mattresses to come in and come out, new ones to come in, and then even shipping those old mattresses to a recycling center. So there's just like so much that went with it, along with just how many people, as far as a crew, could this work? How long would that take? How long of a duration that would take? And it was like, went around like 3 to 4 months. Like it could be 3 to 4 months for like a 20-man crew. So you have to add in all those costs. You have to add in all of those distances. Where's the hotel supposed to be? What's the closest hotel that's the best area in relation to all the different, bases and stuff like that? So or all the buildings from that base. So it got really sticky, it got really complex, but it was able to translate a lot of stuff where basically I started with that scope of work again that was just these scanned addresses with just amounts of beds at these buildings, and I was able to come up with a interactive PDF that was like a Google map with the different locations, color coded with legend, like a legend, and distances from that, and even it was clickable that you can click on that address and everything like that. And then it just broke it down even further to closer, areas within, that whole campus kind of setting. So it was really amazing that I was able to do that, and I added my brother's company logo to brand it, so there's, like, that way too. So it's basically turned into a 3-page, 4-page thing where we're able to add in the invoice or the proposal with a quote and everything like that, and even have, like, notes and assumptions, client clarifications, stuff that was on, prioritized from top to bottom on what they needed to, like, clarify with us that would affect the pricing as well. So I know it was a lot, guys, to sink in there. I know that was a big thing, but I guess I was just trying to say it to you from a creative standpoint. I was basically able to use the same tool that I used for storytelling and turned that into storytelling with logistics. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way to look at it. It didn't just write a good caption, it organized a multi state operation, which is wild, which is wild. And again, people used to do this, but it would take them weeks. It would take them, you know, 40-hour weeks to come up with something like that and produce a PDF on that. So, again, that's just another way for you guys to look at how to use, AI and how it can save you time. I will recommend that if you're an agency, and you don't even have to be a creative agency, but you're running your own business and you're trying to get ahead and you're trying to save time, you're trying to be more productive. I highly recommend start looking into Claude Cowork and getting a subscription. It's only $20 a month. Let's hope that doesn't, excuse me, let's hope that it doesn't go higher, but at the moment, that's what it is. And I highly recommend that you guys should check that out. It's going to save you time. I'm actually even also going to, at some point, drop links in from videos of other YouTubers that were very clear on how to do some of this stuff with the tools that I was just talking about. And yeah, that's about it. I think we ran this a little long enough, guys, for this talk. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, my name is Eric Briones. I'm urban creative. I'm a video production agency here in New York. So feel free to reach out, like, comment, and subscribe. You guys let me know your guys' thoughts on AI, good or bad. I mean, honestly, I love to have discussions where it is going, where what is ethical, what's not ethical. Where I mean, don't get me wrong, it might be Terminator 2 in 5 years or whatever, but my thing is I just feel like you have to stay on top of this stuff or you just get left in the dust, you really do. You don't end up excelling if you don't get in tune with this new technology to advance your business or your career, to be honest with you. So, um, just quickly, some personal announcements if you guys want to hang around with that. I did want to mention that, if you haven't noticed, look at the link, the description at the bottom. I have my book, my memoir, Ralph to the Rescue. I just found out that actually I can, and shout out to Rich, my friend, that let me know about this, is that I'm able to actually order back copies and hard copies of my books. So basically, my plan is, and I can do actually paperback and hard copy. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. But I'm actually going to start pitching this along with using ChatGPT or Claude, coming up with emails to pitch to bookstores and try to get my book, hard copies of my book, into their stores now that I can order them at a very good discount. So that's great. And then another personal announcement. I know I mentioned this earlier. I'm using Upwork. I'm using other online platforms that a lot of creatives don't use that are photographers or videographers, but I recommend. I had my first Fiverr client like the past a few months ago, and it turned out really good. I think it was a legit client that was traveling from Singapore actually, and he has a agency that helps out creators that are in that have their own yoga studios and everything like that. So it was a legit client. It wasn't something that was like me shooting a graduation party or whatever. This was like a corporate client that was on Fiverr. So I do recommend that if you haven't got on Fiverr yet, give it a shot. Try to put your profile up. Again, I'm not getting too much traction on there, but I am getting some messages on there. And to be honest with you, what I do is I just direct them and let them know, like, hey, I'm 5-star rated on Upwork. You, I can't put the direct link here, obviously, because it's a conflict of interest, but you can go take a look at Upwork if you want and hire me on Fiverr, or check out my Google page, business page, and you can take a look for my reviews there. So you just got to be creative in your wording if you don't have the reviews already in Fiverr, which, you know what I mean? Myself, I didn't. So, and I was still able to book a client. So, anyhow, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will speak soon. And take care. And yeah, let me know how your guys' AI journey is going, whether it's good or bad. But let's talk about it. All right, guys.